Welcome to the NiNe Show. This is the land where there's constant chaos.
Welcome to the
NiNe Show, or the NiNe Show. The NiNe Show.
the NiNe Show.
Got myself
My shoulders are so wide I can't even fit in the screen.
Actually, sometimes I really feel like I'm dumber than myself.
Technically, it's because you suck.
Yep,
But
that
we
is true.
I don't know what to say.
I like how you're like hitting yourself on the head when you're trying to.
Yeah, I'm like, think.
I'm like, fuck, like we think the same.
Welcome to the NiNe Show. We got Jono, Asees, Odom, and myself, Leon. We are about to describe being an info dominant and go over other aspects of being info dominant in this episode. So take a seat, get some popcorn, and get ready for a bunch of BS information from a bunch of energy dominant and intuitive.
Boom.
So here, describe energy dominant for us. Info dominant. Excuse me, Odom. Please, you first.
Yeah, cool. So to me, an info dominant is one who is a master of expanding and growing. So they're either gonna be expending energy or preserving energy for the sake of learning more to grow themselves and communicating for the tribe to grow. So that was a bit muddled up, but basically what I'm trying to say is they're constantly either learning for themselves to grow or communicating for the tribe to grow. And they're sacrificing either one of the energies for that sake. So so that's how I kind of differentiate between energy doms and info doms. Energy doms are like managing them, like a sense of management and regulating themselves, and then info doms are just very obsessed about growth and whether it's themselves, the tribe, they're just trying to like constantly filter information, constantly to like accumulate some kind of growth. Like Jordan Peterson constantly doing lectures and talking and lectures, just trying to get everyone to grow, for him to grow, for everyone to grow. It's just like,
here's information. Now do something with it. Just do something with this information.
Yeah,
process
exactly.
It. Do something with it.
Yeah.
So I was going to say that's kind of like energy doms save and preserve and expend energy for the sake of energy, but info doms are for the sake of info, doing the same thing, basically. But to like a different degree, maybe.
Yeah, like they're not. They're only doing one.
They're not conflicted by the one they're missing, so they just
just like we're not with regards to the information.
Alrighty. So Jono, what about you more specifically? How do you describe it?
Well, none of us are info dominant, but I can usually spot one. They are generally more serious in nature.
A wild
info dominant has appeared.
In his natural habitat. Look at him being anal about the information.
Yeah, exactly. Look at me playing with the information, with my energy. Yeah. But I can usually spot one. They're generally more serious in nature. And when you have an opinion or you pass judgment, I feel info dominants are more likely to react or respond more seriously. So, like you said, Manny, about Jordan Peterson throwing info on people, I feel like info dominants are much likely to do something with the information. It's like they have the information and therefore now they are responsible for it because, 75% of their psyche is all info. So it's like, I need to do something with this info. I need to process it. I need to be one with the information.
Yeah. And then when there's too much information, it stops you from doing something with it, right?
Well, for me, yes.
Yeah, for me, yeah, exactly.
For us.
But is it ever too much for them? I don't know.
And that's the thing. And
Good point.
But I think that's where their missing energy animal comes in, because they're sacrificing the doing and whatever they make for the sake of just keeping the info flowing.
What about when somebody says, "Oh, TMI"? Like, is that just like for certain kinds of information, or is that an energy dominance?
No, that's energy dominance. No, too much information. Don't kill me. No. That's a good point.
I've never like, I don't know if it's because I'm Demon F, but I've never felt I've never like felt like someone telling me something's TMI. Like,
No.
Yeah,
yeah.
there's no such thing as too much information.
I
There's
work
no
in
such
a
thing as too much information.
all that dirty stuff is fine with me.
There's not enough
Yeah,
information in the world to consume.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are you
so
all done
one
their job?
more
Okay.
point. So when I say they're likely to do something with information or they respect the information more, it makes me wonder if people that are info dominant are more likely to get offended by what you say, or if you say something that moves them in a negative way, will they be more serious about how they react or respond to that information? Whereas an energy dom, be like, well, I don't feel like getting offended right now, so fuck it.
I feel like
Maybe.
info dominance would take it perhaps more literally, because then they're not
Yeah.
they're not looking at it like, it's not like there's their sensors where they're taking it more literally in that way. It's more
Face
like
value.
they're looking at it. Yeah, it's not like so much face value. More as it's like they're looking at it from a different perspective of like, oh, you can't make a rape joke because it might be offensive, or I was raped or something. Like it's hella funny. Who cares? And that's
Bro, you
exactly
can't
what an
say
energy dominant would
that. You
say.
can't say that, man.
Dude, I used to make really, really, I mean, I still kind of accidentally make really bad jokes sometimes of like some serious stuff. And somebody will be like, if somebody says, oh, you're a mama joke, and then they're like, dude, thanks. My mom died 4 years ago. Like, that's not funny. And I'm like, are they messing with me or are they serious? And then either I'll be like, yeah, well, your daddy did blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, yeah. My mom
Wow.
like, oh, you weren't, and then they're really kidding with me. Like, you suck.
That's so funny. I was gonna say the what Asees said about them, how they're interpreting the information. Like, yeah, they're almost looking at it in a more enriched way, because they're looking at it in terms of the South and the tribe, because they've got consume and blast. So they're like getting more interpretation about the information than us. We're only looking at the information based on whatever savior. So I'll look at the information based on my TI alone.
Right.
And that kind of thing. So they kind of have more an enriched way of looking at information than us. We kind of disrespect it because we're just like whatever.
Yeah, I see patterns of an info dominant person if they have like an unreasonable. Well, they don't have much of an unreasonable balance with teaching and learning. Like they can, like you said, go back and forth. And yeah, they do get bothered if there's not enough information in a conversation. Like let me actually explain for the info dominants out there on their behalf and go into some detail on how it plays out in real life. So I prepared 2 examples. One of them is sometimes I'll leave some info out of the equation in order to have the other person that I'm conversing with to have a chance to guess what I'm saying next, because that's kind of like an intuitive game. Like, oh, fill in the blank. And then they're like, yes, like let's play that game and fill in the blank.
You do that to me?
Sometimes it's subconscious.
Right. Yeah.
To an intuitive, mainly energy dominant, especially. But it's like our way of having more fun, like an energy dominant's way of having more fun and skipping what's considered to be unnecessary to another person. My second example is if I say me, you, pizza, tomorrow, like I subconsciously expect the person I'm speaking to understand that I'm saying me and you, we can hang out tomorrow and eat pizza, like you down, like that's what I mean. But I like took away all the substance of the conversation that I felt was unnecessary, and a lot of people don't get that. So
yeah, that might
misinterpret it.
That might be sensory people with like ST, savior ST, more so than info dominant, if you know what I mean. Like, I can imagine
where,
ST, like,
when,
let's be like,
what are we wearing?
I do think that info dominance though would get more persnickety about the lack of information being communicated, because it's like, okay, when, where, it's like it's like they're gonna catch, it's like, yeah, they're gonna come across as like sort of more biting on the sensory because that's the information that's being left out.
Yeah.
Like even though intuitive that's an info dominant might understand it, they'll still check for understanding instead of just assuming most of the time. I'll say most of the time.
Yeah. What assholes.
Oh man. Are we clear with that?
Yeah, we're clear.
You do good.
Right. I'm gonna 30-second blast this, okay? So basically, my thoughts on this are just to recap what I said on the energy dominant one, is that info dominants are more about they're more aware of their flow of information internally inside themselves and outside with others, and so they're just more about that. And it is what Odom said, where they are basically running themselves into the ground
30 seconds
with their dude, what are you, info dominant? They're just running themselves into the ground with reiterating does not count, okay? It is with they're just running themselves in the ground with their two information animals and the one energy animal that they have in the top three as well.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now we're moving on to the features of a more specific info dominant type of missing sleep. So Odom, let's start with you.
Yeah, so this is, I guess it's a little bit of like my theory added into this, but so this is just the info dominant with missing sleep, and they're going to be doing the consume and blast thing. So they're going to be kind of obsessed about information and growing the tribe in themselves, but because they're missing sleep, they're going to rely completely on their environment to reinforce everything about themselves. So their environment will reinforce their identity, their responsibilities, because they're not using their sleep animal to balance that out. So they're completely relying on the play to take all that kind of responsibility of management, which is what I think the energy deal with. So they're
do you think like that also counts for validation as well from people?
Yeah, validation, like everything. And it means they're overworking the management of their environment, which includes tribes and things, to like keep that up, because it's everything for them. Like they can't like stop and sleep because that there's nothing there, if you know what I mean. They haven't built it up enough. That's the issue.
Yeah, that missing sleep awareness of like, you know, themselves. That makes a lot of sense. Like if they wake up and they're like, oh, I'm in a bakery, I must be a baker, or I must
exactly. Yeah, their environment is gonna reinforce. Like you know how David Chandler said they need, like they sleep process externally. So it's that kind of thing. Like the play literally takes that responsibility, and the it has to go through that kind of thing.
I just want to real quick apologize to anyone watching this that's info dominant, and any of this is slightly inaccurate for you. This is just an extreme kind of interpretation of like all the way on one side. If someone didn't work on their demons or whatever. So if it's not that accurate, we apologize, but it's pretty accurate. Yeah, let us know, please. Comments, email.
Yeah. Going off what Leon said, I haven't interacted with too many infodominant types, and all the times that I have, most of the times that I have, I'm sorry, but I'm not. At least I'm not as typist as Leon. But, most of the times that I do interact with information dominance is because they're coming and biting my ass, and so you can probably sort of probably that frustration is coming out with some of my jokes. And if you're offended by that, again, I'm sorry. But please do blast that information on us. We would like better understanding, and we would like to have a better discussion about all these things.
That was great.
Dude, I just spilled water all over my shirt.
Well, you better take it off, man.
Awesome shirt that y'all should buy.
Better take it off.
Oh my God.
Instagram at NiNe.
Take it off. Take it off. Take it off.
All right, Jono, real quick, brother. Did you?
Yes.
You have something
So, no real deep revelations or anything, but obviously they have high play. double activated play, sleep last. They're like an engine. They'll just keep going, like a just they've got a mission, they've got a goal, they just keep going for it. And a lot of that kind of then affects their self-care and self-maintenance. And like what you said, Manny, is like they're sleep processing in the external world. So they're relying on their play to sleep, basically. They're getting their sleep. They're getting their, decision making from the tribe. They're like, oh, what do you think? Should I do this? Should I do that? They're not really spending enough time on themselves to understand what they need and what they can do to then not necessarily grow, but reinforce their beliefs, or basically just nurture themselves in a way where they can be more productive in life, in their future.
Got it.
Well said.
Yeah, no, that I agree with all of that, man.
I wanted to say, like, infodominance with sleep last know a ton about people and history, and depending on the exact type of infodominant person, they'll either present things in the form of facts or analogies. But two things usually happen with sleep last infodoms. So either they talk out loud to process things and want to figure out things with you, or they've actually taken action to learn something through that information that they received, and they're very accurate about like the info they're presenting because they've had experience, and they have like this craving to test things out. Like if you have a theory, they're going to be the ones to go and do it normally, depending on, obviously some might have lower blast, but still in general, they'll do it for the sake of the information. And
we really don't like infodominance.
No, I love them,
No,
man.
please change my mind. Some infodominance. There have to be some sane ones out there.
Dude, I actually, so I was about to say,
I love them.
had a friend that was infodominant. He was sleep last, play first. He always knew the best way to avoid police officers back when we were doing like hooligan stuff, like really bad stuff in high school. And he always got caught. And then that's through like his experience of getting caught. He's like, oh, I'm never going to do that again, or I shouldn't do that. And he would teach me. So he'd be like,
learning outlasting.
Huh?
Learning by doing.
Learn for himself, and then
by doing.
Blast it.
Yeah, the
exactly.
cycle of information.
So like we would drive on the freeway, and you know how like they have truck stops for like weighing stations or whatever. There's always a bunch of cop cars there, but if there's not, that means they're out here on the highway. So if there's a bunch of them there, he would just speed and like do whatever and just go. But if there was a ton there, he'd be like, okay, I'll go like the speed limit sort of.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, Leon, because I think that we should use that to be more specific about what we mean by infodominance and doing. And so it's not like, because energy dominants are doing and then infodominants are doing, but they're doing different things, where it's like energy dominants are acting on information and then infodominants are acting for information.
Yes. Yes, queen, slay.
Yes. Reactionary.
And so
reaction versus productivity. No.
I was going to say, let's talk a little bit about play last info types.
Double activated sleep.
They're either the smartest people in the room or the dumbest, and there's not really much of an in between.
Oh God. Nah, like, so can I start?
Yeah.
No.
So okay. So they're like the opposite of what I said earlier. So they're relying on their internal world to reinforce like their existence, and so they're neglecting the management of the external world. And so it's kind of like their connections and achievements, which are normally handled by the play animal, to like tell them, oh, this is a good thing based on the external world. They're deriving their own internal judgments for that. Like Jerry Seinfeld, like he's a comedian, and he all the time he talks about how he'll get critics or someone's like that says, well, that wasn't funny, or like, and his reply is always something like, everything I do is funny. Like it's almost like he's almost just judging something that is purely external, but he's using his own internal world to kind of, based on his experience, he'll say like, I've done this well, I know blah blah blah, but it's just based on his sleep. So it's an over reliance on that sleep to reinforce things that the external world should do. And so yeah, that's that.
I think that's a good example, though. That all of the it's just important to sort of reiterate, or perhaps iterate in our instance, that everything, all of someone's parts, they're all subjective to the individual. It's like play, like they have to play. So there's always a tinge of subjectivity, but that doesn't mean that someone's wrong, because in the case of Jerry, I mean, he's in Mr. Seinfeld, he is perhaps one of the funniest people to have ever walked the face of the planet, if not the funniest. So his sleep is correct in that scenario, even though it is double introverted, his world, and it's just that's how he's judging it. It's like, well, he has every reason to believe that's true.
Yeah, true. That's true. And no, I'm not gonna bring it up, but yeah, something happened in the group in relation to what you said, but I'm not gonna bring up tribe drama.
Can you drop a hint?
No. Dude, you're leaving the information out by not blasting.
This is information dominant. This is information dominant. You have to talk about it.
I'm not even. Like, I don't.
Jono, you talk.
What group are you talking about, by the way?
I'm watching. I can't even. I don't even want to say which group because immediately everyone will know what I'm talking about.
Dude, shut up, and Jono, you take the wheel on what we're talking about.
Okay. Play last. So I don't know a lot of play lasts, but what I do know is they have double activated sleep. So, you'd think that they have an extremely, incredibly deep inner world. I have sleep as a savior. It's masculine, and I kind of consider myself to have a deep inner world. But I feel like missing play would be even more intensified. And I think people that are missing play would maybe have a tough time determining what's real and what's like not real. Like, especially if they're masculine, if their sleep is masculine and it's double activated and it's a savior, like the intensity of their inner world, their mind is just like, is their reality. So being in their head, thinking and constantly dreaming, daydreaming, working stuff out is like their reality. And when it comes time to interacting with the world around them, it'd be very foreign to them. And I just feel that people that with missing play may struggle with, reality, or like we're in a simulation type thing, or thoughts like that.
Seems very accurate most of the time.
Yeah, with my limited interactions with playlists, it seems like they're very dry or cutthroat. Like they're like it's like they don't want to fucking play with you, literally, and no pun intended. It's just like they're straight to the point, no bullshit, and then they're gone. And it's like, wait, but what about this? What about? And they're gone. They're fucking gone. They don't want to talk to you.
All these variables, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually interacted with a few play laugh recently. One thing I've observed about them is that they seem to be masters of information they know, but I guess it kind of has to go with they have to sort of play as well in order for that to happen. Otherwise, they're just like gassing themselves up on something that they believe in. And, it's like their imbalance kind of screws them over in terms of them getting the information.
I feel like, sorry, just to go off what you're saying, I feel like people that are missing play would be more like kind of IPs with the double activation on themselves. And, fuck the tribe, I don't need your play energy. And reverse is true. Like people that are play high and missing sleep would be more like EJs because they're more about, the tribe and give me self stuff. Tell me what I like.
Yeah, I think play last types are super opinionated. They're very strong opinions on the information, and it's like if you went to
And
them and
rightly
they
so,
actually
right?
did, if they did all their functions, then they'd be like, well, this method of doing X or blank or whatever is not as helpful as doing it this way. If they're going over like all the ways to do something, they would deeply process it. They would have learned it. They
Right.
would have been able to teach it. But like they do have to have like the experience that play type would have to have it to be
Yeah, they're
completely
gonna.
accurate.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're gonna be naturally the most introverted or subjective.
Yeah,
Both in
true.
regards
Very
to
true.
animal stack and
For what
how
they
in
do.
their conception of the information. Doesn't mean that they can't be right.
Yeah, like
But
if it's like you said that either the
it's their approach.
smartest person in the room or the dumb. It's like it's quite an extreme, right? Like either they're like fucking like
They're
sick
on point
or
or they're not, and
or
it's either
it's
it's kind of like they've built it so far.
Yeah.
Do they build it right or wrong?
yeah.
Whereas energy dominance, they're not even playing that game, so it's like we're all like high IQ.
It's like we're gonna start building something and not finish it.
Except for the missing consume. That was to Asees's point.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Yeah, just jab at Leon.
I love you, man.
So pros, let's do pros of it being information dominance.
I think, they're just wealth of information. They're very knowledgeable. They can share things. They're quick to have opinions on things. And it's very respectful. I think information dominance are, from my perspective, the smart people. What I envy about them is their recall of information and being able to share things quickly and articulate and bring up memories quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
I agree
very.
with that.
It's like they sort of give me the information to work with, and so it's very helpful to work with them
Yeah,
because it's not like I'm dicking around like I am with you guys. But like with them, it's like they sort of keep me on track with focusing on the right thing, and then I keep them on track of making sure that it works and isn't, because I mean you can't get everything perfect.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Similar experience for me, and yeah, they're smart as fuck, and we live in an information world, so we have more information than we can even deal with. So this kind
Too
of like
much information to play with.
Yeah, it's just way too much, and I feel like this kind of time period is very beneficial for someone that isn't information dominant. Like they can thrive in this environment. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I wonder how things would have been if it was like 100 years ago, and you're an info type versus energy type, and like how much different they would be, like because they don't have that information always there. It's always like kind of
They'll be
sort of
hanging out in
that
libraries.
Leon, you don't believe in evolution. You can't talk about that.
Evolution's so different, man. Like, hit me up on Instagram and talk about evolution. But
hit up Asees to talk about revolution.
Revolution. Yes, I am down for revolution.
Don't listen to this Splash Last. He doesn't know what he's talking about. All right, hold on real quick. To be serious, I think being info dominant seems to prevent someone from making too many mistakes. Like, of course, everybody will make mistakes, but because they learn better and they're like really trying to dig in for that information, it's like, oh wow, I'm obviously never going to do that again. But an energy dominant are like, I know I shouldn't, but it's kind of fun, so I'm gonna do it anyways. It's one of those, like, they're just better at learning and then keeping that lesson with them.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's true.
Yeah, because
and it also depends on where they are in life too.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Leon, because it is very much like it like that happens because like they're gonna take it in and tell others, and it in my case especially, and perhaps in your case as well, just in the reverse, circumstance, it is very much true that I understand something completely when I can express it completely.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, basically, yeah. Because you're kind of like extracting and refining it into its most useful component when you communicate it. Like that
Yeah.
process just completely chips away, and just for sure.
So now let's talk cons, more specifically, of info types. So
the first thing that came to my mind was the complete opposite that I said in the energy dominant video.
Okay.
Which is, you know,
what you need to watch.
Well, like, no, like I gave a story about how when I'm giving a speech or when I'm talking and trying to be serious, that I can't help to try to do something funny just to like stop the seriousness. Like, you know, energy
now,
doms.
you guys
like,
need to watch that video, audience.
Yes.
Yeah, they can
watch
be
the episode
so
before this. Like, it's hard for me to like be able to describe something and not have to do something stupid at the same time. So I think I think information dominance may be too serious on the information and they can't do something silly while they're sharing. That's the best con I have. That's the best con I have. Oh, geez.
I really feel that.
So basically what I'm trying to say is that info dominance, there's no con of being an info dominant. Info dominants are incredibly knowledgeable and there's nothing wrong with them.
Perfect. Please don't come after us.
Yeah, generally, I think info dominants are amazing. Like what he said, they just kind of, the situation is just, they kind of keep my together, right? But the only con I would say is just like, you know, as Alan Watts says, life is like dance. And I think info dominants are more likely to miss that essential thing about life, that is just, you're just here to dance. And they can make life more difficult for themselves if they take it too seriously. So that's the only, because like when, like, you rarely ever see Jordan Peterson smile, like that dude's way too serious. But like,
and he's played second, like,
play second. And I mean, obviously he's hella playful, but do you know what I mean? Like, you just like,
he's very serious.
Yeah, like, so yeah, it's just for themselves and making it too difficult. So that's the only con.
I think some info dominants have told me that they can't just enjoy a conversation without making it serious and digging more for the info. Like if someone makes a joke, they literally want to like pick it apart and be like, "Oh yeah, I get your joke, but like what about this? You know, like let's go into that more, make it serious."
Yeah.
And they feel like they're not as fun because of that. Like it's hard to just like, they can make a joke, but after the information is clear and everybody understands the information. So like, we don't, as energy dominants, we don't need to do that. We can just make a joke and then we could get into the info if we wanted to, but you know, it's not totally necessary. Like, cause we all know it's just a joke. So I guess they described it to me as like, we joke and learn while playing, but then the info types will learn and then play, even if they're play first.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Like, they don't want to like disrespect the information and make fun of it until.
But the thing is, like, by the time that the info's all done, they kind of like, the window of opportunity to make a joke leaves. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The timing.
Timing is all like half what a joke.
Yeah.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
So we have wrapped up all the pros, cons, the play first and sleep first info types. We described about what it is, and we have totally butchered all of it with our energy dominant take on it.
And our low-key biases, because we
love info dominance.
However,
you guys are awesome.
we have had interactions and we have taken information from energy dominance. So don't blame us for the information. Blame us for miscommunicating the information. Other than that, get on Instagram and DM us for an I Love It shirt. We will be shipping and all that stuff. Please just give it a try. If you I love it, if you love our show, if you support us in any way, please don't be a jerk. All right.
Nice.
Like, comment, subscribe. Hey, shut up. I'm talking. Like, comment, subscribe, and share the videos with your friends. Check out the tags that I'm placing all over the screen, and we'll see you in the land of chaos next time.